Minecraft added in a new mob in the game with a new loot table plus more changes to the breeze and the hoppers. Hello there, Ray here. Let's take a look at all these changes in the newest Java snapshot. The trial chamber related stuff is going to be in the next full release version 1.21, where all the other technical stuff will also be in the next version, which is going to be 1.20.5. So leave a like and let's get into the details. Minecraft added in a new mob into the game, and that is this called the Bogged. It is a variant of a skeleton. As you can see, it's covered in moss as well as mushrooms, and the name is quite fitting as you can find these inside of the swamp biome as well as the mangrove biomes, and they can also spawn in the trial spawners. If we compare them with a skeleton, we can see their eyes are really glowing, with the majority of the body tinted in green, just as if the moss that's coming from this biome is slowly growing on them, which looks amazing. And their little hands and feet are like kind of muddy, as if they were like walking and touching all the muddy stuff that's in these swamp biomes. They also have these little brown and red marks on their head, and these are actually supposed to be like the red and brown mushrooms. So it looks like maybe inside of them, the mushroom's actually growing. And then where the skull is broken, you can actually see the mushrooms growing from within, which is a bit different than what you'd expect with like the mushroom. The mushrooms are on the outside, but these are actually indented. They also have this like moss shawl. It even has like a little piece that kind of drapes over it. Maybe that is a vine. And in the inside, you can kind of see what the mushrooms look like from here. Overall, it looks really cool. What do you guys think of this look? I have to say the texture of this really fits the theme. They also dropped items similar to a skeleton, but one that's different than normal skeleton is this type of arrow here, which is the arrow of poison. These are for 5 seconds, which is the weakest of the 3 different variations of poison arrows in the game, which is also quite fitting because they are green and the arrow poison is also green. You can imagine that being inside this mossy environment and shooting out arrows, they could end up getting poisonous, especially since we do have like frogs from this. And there's also poisonous frogs in real life, but they're also a little bit different than normal skeletons in that how fast they shoot is much slower. So notice that every time they shoot, there is a delay. And this is a 3.5 second delay instead of the normal 2. It's almost twice as slow as a normal skeleton. This is very fitting for their name being bogged, like they're slow, bogged down by the swamp. Plus the mob itself also has less health, only 16 health compared to the normal 20 that a skeleton has. I think it's really cool when they give mobs unique behavior, kind of like you see in other games. So their attack speed can be different, the way they attack, what type of attack they do, and even their health, so that every mob is a little bit unique and it's not just a bunch of like kind of cloned skeletons. So as you can imagine, since it does shoot out poisonous arrows, if you get hit, you get poisoned for those 5 seconds, which is really deadly because it can bring you down to low health and you can easily get killed, similar to like a witch or a poisonous spider. Now, if you use looting on these type of skeletons, you can see despite using looting, we only still got 1 poisonous arrow. So looting doesn't let you get more of them, it just increases your chance of getting at least 1 drop, with looting 3 being a 94% chance of getting it. Now there is similarities between the bog and the previous skeleton variation called the stray. These are normally found in coal biomes. You can see also with looting, you only get 1 of the slowness arrows. Now I've already made a stray slowness arrow farm, so I hope to also design one for the new bog skeleton. So as you can find them here in the new trial chambers, coming out of these new trial spawners, they have replaced the previous skeletons which are holding poisonous arrows in their offhand and would give you the poison effect. So now we see these trial spawners that are surrounded by the bone block as well as the puzzle with mushroom. That indicates that the trial spawner will spawn in the new bogged mob. So you could also farm them here for the poisonous arrows, but remember these trial spawners have a 30-minute cooldown before you can kill another round of mobs, where they'll just naturally spawn inside of swamps and mangrove biomes, similar to strays spawning in the coal biome. Now if they die from natural means, you won't get the poisonous arrow, so it has to be killed by player means, such as like using a dog. And unlike normal skeletons, the bogged mob will just die inside of powdered snow instead of being converted. Let me know if you have any other ideas or questions related to the bogged. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on seeing these future videos. Now with last week's hopper changes, they did also break it so that hopper minecarts weren't picking up items through a solid block. Supposedly the hopper minecart was doing the same type of check as a normal hopper, when it sees the full cubed block right above it, then it would just ignore trying to pick up any items. But this consequence was not intended. And for those of you guys that are subscribed with bell notification set to all, I put out a message asking you if you would support the hopper change if they would fix this bug. And most people were supportive. So now hopper minecarts will once again pick up items that are through an entire full cubed block. But there was one other main case where this hopper change would break a farm, and that is when it comes to the honey farm. Because the honey is inside of these hives here, and when it gets automatically collected with a dispenser, either using water bottles or using shears, the item is spawned inside of the hive, and then it'll just try to squeeze its way out to one of the sides. But with the hopper underneath, it would be within range of hopper, and the hopper would normally pick it up before it gets squished out and ends up somewhere weird. But because this hive was a full cube, the hopper was actually ignoring picking up any items, which would break this type of farm. Now this farm here is my simple honey and honeycomb farm, but it's also a villager crop farm. You can farm up crops along the way. Now I did already come up with some alternative ways to make honey and honeycomb farm by putting the dispenser underneath, and then we could put like water stream here or hopper minecarts, as the item would get squished upwards and could be collected from above. But you don't need to worry about switching out your honey farms because they decided to change it so that hoppers can pick up items that come out of the bee nest or bee hives. And this is done by having a special tag called does not block hoppers, which the bee hives and nest are part of. And you can see this new tag over here on the right hand side, so your farms will continue to work. If there's any more weird cases where this type of hopper changes might break something, let me know. Now before today, wind charges couldn't go through non-solid blocks. So if you put like down some string or a banner, even though you could shoot through these, the wind charges could not go through it. This was kind of an easy way to avoid getting hit by the breeze during the fight, but was probably coded this way so that the wind charge would actually collide with things that are open like gates, when normally arrows can go right through open gates. So in my automatic breeze farms, I might have to change out the string. If you haven't already seen my wind charge farms using the breeze, check them out with the link in the description after this video, as it's the best way to get the new wind charge item. So now you can see the wind charge can go through a lot of these non-solid blocks. But it doesn't seem that I actually have to change my breeze wind charge farm, as the wind charge just happens to go right through me, which is probably a new bug. Now before, the breeze when killed would only drop between 4 to 6 wind charges, and looting had no effect on it. So now looting will have an effect on the breeze. I have a super high looting sword, and if I go ahead and kill the breeze, we'll see how much we get. Wow, 49. So looting definitely works now. This will help you get slightly more wind charges. Now when deflecting a breeze's wind charge, which can be done, notice that instead of the wind charge actually hitting the breeze or even trying to explode on the breeze to push them back, it just vanishes instantly. Now once again, you'll be able to redirect the wind charge at the breeze, and it won't just instantly get deleted from the game. Now the breeze is immune to other projectiles in that they'll just hit the breeze and bounce off of them. But the same wasn't said when it came to the wind charges. They would actually do a small amount of damage. But because these are also projectiles, the breeze will now deflect these, so you can't kill them using their own item. When projectiles actually bounce off of the breeze, there was a difference between how it was done in Java Edition and how it was done in Bedrock Edition. So now in Java Edition, the arrows will also bounce back the direction they came. Before, if you would use the wind charge and then fall in some water, once you touch the ground, all of a sudden you'd be dealt some fall damage. And there was a bunch of scenarios like this. This was probably due to the wind charge thinking that when you got lifted up right here, anything below that area should deal you damage, and it completely ignored the part where you landed in something safe like powder snow or on a slime, and it would end up dealing damage. One of them being if you would fall down in creative and then you'd go into survival and then just jump, all of a sudden you take all that fall damage that was between there and here. Now the trick where I came up with where you would blast yourself with a wind charge and then get hit by a whole bunch of TNT, which I have uploaded into a shorts video along with a bunch of other cool tricks. This trick would let you so you wouldn't actually take any fall damage because they thought the last thing you touched was the wind charge. But this was now fixed in the snapshot, so you can't use the wind charge to safely take fall damage from other things. But I of course will be trying to find a workaround for this, and you can watch me do all my discoveries and testing over at my Twitch live streams. I do these every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And you, the viewers, are welcome to join in. As you can see, there is a lot of stuff here, and I did not build this all. Now, because of all these changes they made with the wind charge, they are aware that there is this new bug where the wind charge, when it lifts you off the ground, then you hit the ground, you normally wouldn't take any fall damage, but now you do. So they're going to eventually get this fixed. Now, sneezing pandas can once in a while sneeze out a slime ball, but this dropping of a slime ball was not part of their loot table, but was rather hard-coded into Minecraft. So anybody who wanted to change this couldn't actually easily do it. But now that's all been changed, so it's part of a loot table, so you can easily change out what they're going to drop for something else. Now, when using the tick freeze command, it would cause the AI of mobs to change, so they wouldn't do what you would expect to do next. So they fixed this bug, as well as a bug where when you use the tick freeze, the game would forget to keep another portal chunk loaders so that they would keep loading a chunk. Instead, it would forget that item went through the portal. Now they removed both these bugs for the snapshot. When upgrading, chunks that were produced during 1.9 and before could regenerate seemingly randomly. Of course, they didn't want people's builds to just all of a sudden get wiped, so this will no longer happen. Now come join me in testing out the new bog mob. I'm currently live streaming shortly after this video, and I will be live streaming all my experimenting over at my Twitch channel. You can find those details in the description. Thanks for leaving a like, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!